was me we're talking about. Good, you're there. Okay, thank you.
Oh, cool. All right.
Bye. Seriously, brother.
There you go. Call meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Any additions to the agenda or changes? Get one. Get one for the IT contract, contracts. I'll add that. Kevin, that'll be under the contract bids section. Yeah. Okay. Approval of minutes and claims.
Cindy, you made that change.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion that we approve the claims and minutes.
What change was it?
It was she basically, one of the things is that it said that we had 3 openings for on the health board. It was 3 candidates for the health. That's easy. In our last meeting, so we got to change. Sorry, I should have cleared that. So I'll reiterate my motion. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the claims and minutes.
I'll second. Okay. Roll.
Seizers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
First item on our agenda is the Mount T State Forest Paving Pumpkin Ridge project. Appreciate NDOT here and PNR reps. So if you here's passage out for tonight, we'll have the Mount T folks presentation, and then we'll open it up to the audience for comment. You've got 3 minutes. Sometimes those can go a little longer, but Gerald will try to keep it about that time. Any questions you have regarding the project, address those to the board, and then we'll have a counter. Somebody else can come up to the podium and explain it. Just state your name and explain it to tell them what will work. Then we'll close it off to public hearing when everybody's had their say, and then we'll have a brief discussion among the commissioners and identify next steps. So again, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Just having me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick. Restricted free access to T State Forest. I have a number of staff here with me tonight. For the sake of time, I'll hold them out. I did want to point out she's the manager, and also here with John Seifert. John is at the Division of Forestry with the Indiana. So we had a couple months ago, we made this video in preparation of a public information meeting that we still intend to hold for this project. We thought the video encapsulated a lot of concerns people have, so we thought it'd be appropriate to go ahead and have a preview of that here this evening. It's about 9 minutes long, and I think we'll cover a lot of the basic information and then answer any of your questions. Divisions within the Indiana Department of Transportation and within the Indiana Department of Resources. Officials, representatives from local tourism groups, and some local citizens, business and EMS communities. That's project development process. This begins with project selection, survey, and data collection. Needs and purposes of the project will be drafted and an environmental studies commence. Various alternatives will be created and screened that satisfy the project needs and purpose to a varying degree. Once a preferred alternative is selected and preliminary design details are known, another public meeting will be held. Design, permitting, and land acquisition will occur. NDOT's environmental documentation process, known as SEPA, the State Environmental Policy Act. It requires NDOT to analyze and evaluate impacts of a proposed project to the natural and socioeconomic environments. SEPA is a decision-making process that results from the drafting of a purpose and needs statement, creation and screening of alternatives, and then selection of a preferred option. Impacts are analyzed, evaluated, and described in the environmental document, which will provide answers to such questions as what are the impacts each alternative may have on the community? Can these impacts be avoided or minimized? If they cannot, what can the mitigation be? Here are some examples of items that will be evaluated as part of the environmental document. These include the new right of way it may need, its impacts to streams, wetlands, and floodplains, endangered species, community impacts, environmental justice, as well as input from Mountain State Forest. It encompasses over 1,200 acres. It was previously owned and managed by the Nature Conservancy and then deeded to the state of Indiana in 2013, becoming one of the newest state forests in the DNR system. The state used funds from the U.S. Forestry Services for the Legacy Program to purchase. Along with active forest management by the DNR, the property activities at the state forest today include hunting, off-trail hiking, and wildlife viewing. Mountain State Forest is located in northeastern Brown County, State Road 46, between Nashville and Columbus. The property is located west of Hoover Road and is currently accessed via an unimproved road known as Pumpkin Ridge Road. Its need and purpose are really its foundation, the why behind doing this project. The state forest uses a narrow that has not been publicly maintained for many years. Access roads needs include lack of schedule.
existing Pumpkin Ridge Road as much as practical. Design standards will involve deviations. They'll provide a small paving surface with roadside ditches and culverts. The design of the project will be for a relatively low 30 miles an hour design speed. It's important to note that this project is not striving to build a high-speed state or county road. Its intent is a low-speed roadway that hugs the terrain as much as possible, while still meeting the purpose in it. You'll see our dash cam driving westbound on Pumpkin Ridge Road in two locations within the project limits. How narrow the existing roadway is, the steep hillsides, and the poor service. We actually encounter another vehicle coming the other way. You can see the challenges of trying to pass. Standards, even for low-speed recreational access road today. You can see the area is very wooded, and the existing roadway has a lot of curves to it that will need to be brought up to modern standards. This image is a basic typical section of what we plan from the roadway. The widths are 11 feet with 2-foot shoulders and roadside ditches. These details comply with NDOT standards for recreational roads. This project is likely to require additional right-of-way in order to be completed. All land acquisition activities will comply with state laws. We expect appraising to begin in the late summer of 2026, and real estate offers will be extended near the end of 2026. We do not expect any relocations of residences as part of this. Available both here in the meeting tonight, as well as on the site, that discuss the process of land acquisition. It is important for property owners in the study area to know that there will be a number of field work and surveys occurring in the coming months. All staff in the field will wear high visibility vests and possess proper identification. The field work will include topographic survey, which is the mapping of the terrain and features to be used during design. Ecological surveys of the natural environment will occur during the spring growing season. An archaeology survey will also occur later this year, which involves digging small pits about 24 inches into the ground to check for artifacts. These will be filled with the native soils. This year, soil borings will be conducted to better determine the subsurface soil conditions and the presence of rock. So survey mailers will be sent to property owners before starting these activities.
At this point, the project is extremely early development, so let's say the video is really all we know today. We completed the topographic survey, and that was done. We want to get that done before it leaves turn green and everything, just because it makes it for a little hard work. But other than that, we're still very early kind of the conceptual design. So that's really all I have on top of that video. Happy to answer any questions.
You said artifacts. There's always a big presence of Indians around county. So that's what you're gonna be looking, one of the things you're gonna be looking.
Yeah, according to Indiana law, we do need to conduct an archaeological survey, which basically involves digging a pit with a shovel and shovel 24 inches down. They kind of grid out a pattern in the study area to do that. The same soils are put back in that little pit that was described. There are something that will be collected, studied, and curated. Assuming it's not something of extraordinary significance, those artifacts usually can be returned back to the property owner. Because that is something.
Open it to the audience, just come to the podium, state your name. Generally, we have about a 3-minute time window, but. Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Mitchell, and my question is, on Pumpkin Ridge Road, that's the name of it. How much of that property is owned by private individuals that will be taken from them to make this wider road. Thanks.
I'm gonna do that.
So I think I'm asking Nick or
Yeah.
one of the enough people step up because they've already done the research on what's being surveyed, correct? So can you answer that question for us, please?
Can you just repeat so I understand the question? So basically, how much? State. Short answer is we don't know yet. There will be some, no doubt. I mean, obviously, a lot of land, especially the western half of the project limits, is the adjacent land. Both sides are already owned by the state, so we'll certainly take that into consideration. But since we're still sort of kind of early in the design, we don't really know that yet. Once we do know that, though, we'll make that known public for the property owners that would be impacted by the project. We would have information to provide them to help educate on the process, understanding what their rights are, and then work through the process that NDOT does. So.
Thank you.
Sorry. You just saying that half of that.
I'll address the board.
Sorry. Terry Mitchell. I'm trying to understand if he just said that one side of that road that is going to be extended is already owned by the state, and then the other side would be owned by private individuals. So if that's the case, then my next question would be, why wouldn't you just move the road and it be all on state property?
Yeah, but what I was trying to say was, so not all of the land next to the road is owned by the state, from Hoover to the entrance to the state forest. Now, there's some of it is. In those areas, we recognize that, and if it works for if it makes sense for the project, we'll try to shift the road onto the state. There's still sections where the north side of the road is privately owned, south side of the road is privately owned. And in those areas in particular, land acquisition like that.
So I drive Hoover Road quite a bit, so as a result, if I'm not in a hurry, check that stopped at Mount T just to go see what's going on back there. Usually I'll see 2 or 3 cars. It's usually drive pickups and stuff. People are going back there. It's a nice area. There's another road that goes to the state forest. It's Camp Benito. I'm sure. I was just wondering if there's been anything. Understanding is that Camp Benito was sort of a private road. I think there's kind of a sportsman's club back there that borders Mountain T. I just wondered if that road would ever be considered as another access into Mountain T, and was there a possibility of the 2 roads being blended together so that it would be a thoroughfare going from down to 46? See any type of development in the Doctor House area, like viewing, anything like that, or I understand it's very early. It's a nice area. It's great that there's access, but when I saw it on this around chatter and matters, I was curious as to why a 2-lane road, because I've never seen that. I've not yet, but it becoming, I get that. So anyway, this is my question: is would the 2 roads ever have a possibility of meeting and creating a thoroughfare through the state forest? It just seems logical. It would be interesting to hear from somebody in the Camp Benito area from the sportsman's club on what their views on this.
I'll try to answer that as best I can. I mean, I think Pumpkin Ridge Road was chosen since that's generally considered the access road today. It has been for many years. It's the most direct road from Hoover Road to the entrance, if you will, of the state forest. In terms of some of these other line improvements, I think of those maybe discussions with DNR for future projects, but for here, this project really is just kind of isolated to make an improved road from to the opening of property. Thank you.
questions, comments?
Forever. But got it started. I mean, the state has owned it since 2013, it's been 12 years. And does the state own other properties that have limited access? And is this part of a grant? They call it state accessible, or why was this one chosen?
Seifert, I'm the Director of Division of Forestry, and to answer that question, Monte's probably our most rural and accessible property that we currently have. We did an improvement on Yellowwood Road a few years back. And the reason it became an issue for us is that we had lots of complaints from customers who said that access was an issue. Why would you not make the improvements? And we kind of said it's county road. The state's sort of obligated to give access to state facilities. So we approached the DOT to help us navigate the process to get access to the state line. But yes, all of our other properties have hard surface to them, even in northern Indiana.
So I'm curious, what kind of complaints did you get? What were some of the issues?
Well, yeah, people getting stuck. So they call us, I don't know if you guys got the calls, but they call us, and, you know, they're just used to the customers and citizens are used to looking at us as for a state park, which is all approved. Our intention has never been to make this into a state park. We explained we want this to be a very primitive road, but not get in a situation where we have people fighting to us because we have poor access to the site. And up until this point, we had been doing some maintenance on the road ourselves to keep the customers as well as the citizens on that road, doing our best to keep everybody happy.
Thanks, John. Sure.
Improvements on the part of the road that are not in the state forest, whose responsibility will maintain that road?
I think short answer is that's probably a big reason why we're reaching out. According to the Indiana statute that establishes funding source, the road that gets improved, then even though the project is administered by the state, the road does refer to the local agency, and thus it is the local agency responsibility to maintain the finished product, if you will. Again, that would be to the entrance of the state forest. Of course, once it's beyond the state forest, that would be remain DNR's responsibility.
Paul Nelson again, just wondering, there's quite a few properties in nature, like 5 acres, 10 acres, as we head back towards Mountain. I just wondered if there's been a consensus on those property owners, whether they probably had some interaction, any official interaction.
Certainly don't want to speak for those, but the short answer, I have interacted with, I say there's about 8 private properties along the border along Bunkers Road. I communicated with 5 of them, that person with 3 of them. So, anyway, so again, I don't want to speak for them. They honestly have concerns with their concerns and questions. They also have concerns about the condition of the road today.
Wow.
Jason Dickmeyer. I happen to have one of those 5.5 acre parcels of land that is going to be messed up due to this road thing. And so I guess I have a big concern. We got a white oak tree that's almost 10 foot circumference. What are we gonna do to protect a tree like that? That's the biggest one in our. How would we go about preserving that tree, that you don't damage the roots? You come rooting down through there. That's really our biggest concern is losing our land. That's it.
Thanks, Jason. I know you emailed back and forth a couple times over a couple months of the project. And this first, you are invited and encouraged, reach out to me. I would love to come meet you on your property. I've done that, like I said, 2 or 3 times now. Some of the property owners, I always learn a lot. It gives them an opportunity to ask questions, especially things that, a tree that size probably would be obvious to me, but there's other things that maybe wouldn't be as much. So I'd love to be able to meet Jason, you on your property if you like, and really anybody else. The invitation's always there. So, yeah, I mean, there are protection measures for trees, especially really big ones like that. So that would be interesting to see what we could do to preserve it without knowing exactly where it is. It's hard for me to give a definitive answer, but it definitely sounds like it's worth a serious thought.
Decision are you making here tonight? You taking a vote this evening? Are you making a decision?
Wait for it.
Question? No question?
We'll discuss it after the public part is closed.
Were all of the homeowners around there notified that this was occurring this evening? Like ABC would do? Were they given cards to know that this could happen and that you were making some kind of decision about their property?
There's no decision about anybody's property.
If you agree to
We
any
didn't-
kind
we
of
didn't
this
sit down.
project,
We didn't sit down.
State again, I mean, we will have public policy process. We will have parking. We're definitely always directly inviting anybody that's engaged on the project today. That would give people an opportunity to see what we're trying to solve. Once the design gets to a certain point, that way it can be transparent. What it'll look like, how much items are needed, how much projects are going to cost, I mean, those sorts of things. So we will have those forums throughout project development to give people opportunities for that introduction.
Others, comments? Okay, close the public hearing part, bring it back up to the board. Comments, questions?
Don't know where this number come from. But I heard there's gonna be 200-foot right of way on either side of the road, which would make a 400-foot swipe down through there. Are you gonna have like, little pull-offs, like little rest area type thing, or shelter houses along, maybe in front of these people's property? And then, there's no real city water back there. You said you're gonna keep it primitive, so you're giving access to all this back there, but you're not gonna have any facilities for people to use the restroom or get out of the rain or anything. Is that what I'm hearing?
I did want to, you mentioned 200 feet either side, 400 feet. That did not come from me. I mean, we don't know what that is. That strikes me as pretty wide, to be honest with you. But again, we certainly do not have anything drawn up. Know that yet.
Okay. What about the public pull-off type thing? Is it just gonna be the road or?
I mean, this would be a county road. So I mean, it's not a road within a DNR facility per se. So you wouldn't have maybe some of the amenities, if you want to call them that you could speak of, like you would say once you got into the DNR facility. So just like you wouldn't have many of those things you just spoke of along Hoover Road, you wouldn't have those here today. So there would not be shelters, there would not be restrooms. Again, those would be more within the state forest property itself.
but there's no water back there, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Is there any plans to get water back there?
We investigated the water and electricity issue a few years back. And at the time, we looked at wells and looked at rural water. There really wasn't a viable option at that time. Unless things have changed, we've not investigated it in the last 5 or 6 years, see if water is an option to go back there. But when I say primitive, our goal is to have minimal structures, have pit toilets that we might be having our facilities. So those are usually concrete structures that have evolved in them, and we pump those out. Because one of the complaints we have right now is the majority of landowners that people are using the restroom inappropriately on this land, and we understand that, and that's going to be an issue we're going to solve as this develops, because we know it will bring additional people, and we have all intents purposes of resolving that. Shelters, there is one there down at the lake. Could there be additional ones? Yes. We're building a couple right now on another couple of properties in Brown County. But yes, there's opportunities there as well.
That road actually goes on down. Is there any future plans to open the other part of the road there?
It's pretty steep once you get in there. As you go down the hill. I think we got to cross a pretty major stream to get across it. So that would require a bridge. We were just trying to originally just get access to it and get it up to standards. To consider it, we just never considered it at this point in time.
I think the only thing is, I'm going back and making a comment, is we did do an initial design review. Our comment and concern were the road is going to be designed and built to NDOT specifications, which I believe exceeds our county standards. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct?
Oh, right, that's which one you're.
The pumpkin.
You're
I'm
talking
talking about NDOT.
pavement thicknesses, or, I mean, I guess one thing, you mentioned, you know, 31 speed, that's typically the lowest design speed you have for a recreational road, but even talking within that, especially in those areas where the terrain is particularly steep, and it would require a lot of grading, for instance, to even meet that. NDOT is certainly up for me considering even lower speeds to reduce the footprint of this project, and that would just be a kind of a case-by-case basis. So that might, in certain sections, might be more in line with, say, what a county standard would be, and that's kind of what you're getting at.
To achieve that, the 22 feet, 2 feet more on each side. Okay, to achieve that, you're gonna have to go out quite a bit and get all the ditches in line and everything. Which way that water's gonna go. There's already a thing where it comes down to where there's a massive amount of water that comes down off of there. And I think it's somewhat pools up there, but then eventually it will come down. And there's already been at least one death out there because of that water that comes down off those hills. And plus, I believe Lake Monroe has a watershed starts somewhere around there that ends up all, the erosion thing is going to have to be under control. You guys are the experts.
Line that's on a ridge line, so it's the headwaters, ultimately become, what ultimately enters into Salt Creek and other bodies of water downstream. And that is, especially the eastern limits of this project, that's a big problem. That's what contributes to a lot of the washouts. There's really no ditches to speak of in that section. So yeah, we do need to widen out the road in order to create at least some ditches. Those ditches they'll be armored a lot more to be able to withstand erosion, those fast kind of stream velocities that happen with like flash floods and such. Another thing also then will keeping those stream velocities lower when the water then leaves the project area. It's much calmer. It's not going to have the washouts that can then keep going downstream, and the material that goes with it, right? Those streams that take those boulders and those rocks with it, and those get deposited. places we may not want to be.
Yeah, I think I made the comment at one of these meetings, there was nothing back there but ticks and rattlesnakes. You know, I don't know how far the ticks are gonna go when you start disturbing that area. You ever heard the stories about Florida when they started doing the Everglades and alligators come out?
Yeah.
Those snakes are gonna go somewhere.
Eric, my question is really for you. What's your read on Pumpkin Ridge Road and the proposed change in paving?
I really don't have a preference one way or the other, but I don't see an issue as far as maintaining when they're done if it's built the way it needs to be built. So I don't have a problem with it.
How much is that is a challenge now, Pumpkin Ridge Road? I mean, you guys, what level maintenance?
Yeah, we're not on it. But I don't see it as an issue once they're done. I mean, at that point, our trucks can get back there and they'll be big enough to be turned around and get back out. You know, there's some stuff that we would like to talk about as far as the intersections, improvements, getting in and out. So there's some stuff to work through, but I think it's, you know, doing.
That's another thing that I noticed is getting in that 90-degree curve, coming out of the road and turning right's not bad. But it's dangerous going left. It's dangerous turning in. And there's just so many obstacles to overcome.
We certainly have that on some studying some ideas right now to see what that could add to the project. I'm optimistic there's a middle ground between, you know, just putting in nothing more than making it a three-way stop, which would be kind of your lowest cost probably improvement. The other end, you know, to bring it up to standards would require a lot of training that would probably be cost prohibitive. I'm hoping there's a middle ground that improves some of the sight lines and then maybe can get in a short left turn lane or maybe passing blister so somebody has a refuge if they're waiting to turn left at that location. So we're looking at that now. Some ideas there. There's no easy answers though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I saw this statement in a public meeting that I've been coast to coast and all over the country. I've never seen more no trespassing signs in 3/4 of a mile in my life. So, I mean, I think it's been a problem for the neighbors already. And, you know, the road might alleviate some of that, but it might cause as much. There's just a lot of unanswered questions.
That's shop, John. Appreciate your
Time. Thanks.
folks. Next.
So, like I said, I don't, public, obviously the interested public can have an opportunity to stuff and be engaged. We've initially had this about 6 weeks ago where we brought this forth. I'm going to make the recommendation that we basically table this decision and any decision, specifically the contract decision of this rate until the second meeting that we have in August. And that's the motion that I would make.
I agree with that. I'd second that.
Well, it gives us time, gives the public time also. If you got any additional concerns or comments, bring to us so we can get all the input that we can on making decisions. So, got a motion second.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can I make a statement, please? Getting a lot of comments about not being able to hear, so please speak into your mics and when audience, when they get up there to talk, please make sure you're speaking. They couldn't hear you. So you go. Yeah, if I see there's a problem. So yes, to your mic.
Oh, exactly.
Okay. Again, thanks, DNR folks and Don. John, appreciate it. Thanks for being here. All right, next on the agenda, contracts and bids. Kevin, you've got information technology, highway equipment, lift station, and Laura's contract.
So the initial one was just not an easy one off there. With regards to information technology right now, there's a need in order to go through and back up the email systems that we have. And there are, if you pull that file up, please, all the summary email back up. Yes. So the routine of this is just basically integrating the software storage solution from the to allow the backup of all the email systems that we have. The original request, or one of the requests, was to look at signing a 3-year contract. Although we were provided pricing on a yearly basis, given what we have, 2 of the 3 quotes actually came in with considering pricing. Based on that, Kaseya is basically going to provide similar services across all 3. So I highlighted in green that they are the low bid. So in that comment that I was going to basically make a motion and recommend that we accept Kaseya's bid for a 12-month contract for email backups on services.
Second. Roll call.
Kevin Becker,
Yes.
John Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Yeah, so if you can move to the next one, basically the highway equipment side, the purchase of the lightning loader. Yes. Loader 1, the file loader. It's a PDF. No. No. There. No, that's not the first one. One more. Next time. Actually, I'm sorry, you had the right one. Hard to read that small little letters there. So basically, with the inclement weather that we've had this year, and living in the beautiful county of Brown County, everyone has seen the wet weather along with all the rain that we received. Part of the challenge is that we have to have massive amounts of equipment actually taken to site and dealing with down trees, along with clogs related to debris, clogging culverts and things of that nature. The equipment set that we typically end up having in doing that is a tandem dump truck, a flagging vehicle, and a wheeled excavator. That seems to be the most common way that we're clearing these things. So there is another solution. It's called a lightning loader. It is basically a little over 26,000-pound vehicle that's equipped with a loading mechanism that allows you to basically pick up debris along with clearing brush and debris and that from the ditches and other aspects of it. So in looking at the details, I just basically took a couple scenarios where we had debris that was alongside the road, in this particular instance, the northern end of the county, that recently happened this year, and then went through and said, okay, looking at what we sent out as a county as far as resources, and then comparing that to what it would take to actually utilize that piece of equipment should we have a loader of that nature. So if you look down at the bottom, not a lot of costs associated with it, but over time it can be. You see on the right-hand side down the bottom, there's basically a 51% savings with regards to man hours and equipment hours for that piece of equipment, along with the savings of costs with regards to salary and fuel that's utilized for it. So that's a much smaller calculation and not a high cost, but if you go down and look at the next slide, please, loader 2, that one, which is the eye chart. So this is basically, assumption is the scenario is looking at 4 hours on site where you had 2 dump trucks, the excavator, the flagging vehicle with 2 flaggers, a much more complicated approach to clearing the ditch and the roads, because we had, again, tornado instance in the southern end of the county, so we had a lot of debris that was scattered about. So I took, in this particular situation, the example of Mount Liberty and ran those numbers. So in essence, it was basically some debris actually was hauled off from that area, and that area debris was hauled to our county site on Grandma Orange Road. Again, the calculation there, so the numbers are much larger, although there is not a significant return, because again, the main advantages, which we'll look at on the 3rd slide here, are associated with quick turn and quick access and time to site and time to get off site. So in this case, there's only really a 13% saving with regards to labor cost and man hours, or fuel hours. And then the second part of that is about a 20% saving in equipment hours or man hours related to that. So the last slide, please. So key benefits that I identified this year is a quicker response to clearing the tree and fallen debris from the roads. As most have seen, we have had we'll say an excessively bad year in that situation. Quicker response to cleaning ditches after storm runoff. And it's not only that, it's also being able to quickly go through and actually have on site a quick response to clearing those ditches. Because as you know, when fall hits, spring arrives, it is nothing but full of branches and leaves. And that is what clogs our ditching. So there is a way to actually even make it less expensive to do ditching in this particular situation because of the configuration of the machine. Again, fewer highway personnel are needed in this situation, so that means fewer man hours, better utilization of resources. The reduction in man and machine hours is accumulated, right? So now I'm not putting all those hours across multiple pieces of equipment. And then the additional uses that we saw as we went through and asked and reached out to other counties that were using this. Culvert replacement was a big aspect of that, which we've been doing a lot of this year because we're doing a lot of road repair and we're dealing with a lot of bad culverts. Taking less time to basically place riprap as we have now. We can't pull riprap out of the dump trucks that we have in this machine. It wouldn't even have to be unloaded and we can move from point A to point B. Can be used as an additional truck for stone stockpiling, hauling stone in certain situations. Again, not a big application, but some that was seen is where that some cities and some rural areas where that consolidations were using this, removing piled snow. The situation where they'd had it piled in the cities or towns or small areas. And then again, it has dual function. It is serving as a dump truck and an excavator. So I forgot to get you the picture, but
It's cute.
That's,
It's cute.
basically what it is it's got a grapple behind the cab and the bed, and it can reach out and load the bed, and then it can dump the bed.
you have a question?
No, it's just the picture.
You wanted the picture? Well,
I
it tells it all,
I
right?
kept seeing the lightning loader, and but then when you started talking about it, it was like in my mind, I knew what landscapers, tree remove people use these.
Actually, they do. So again, in this situation, Eric Wood had planned in his budget for 2025, replacing a dump truck. But in this particular situation, with the incident that we had earlier this year, we were able to take care of the truck that was in problem. So those funds need to be expended. And the recommendation at this point is to basically move forward with acquiring this piece of equipment. Because I think it'd be an added benefit to the county.
And what is the cost?
So the overall cost they're looking at right now, a used vehicle was $175,000.
Used vehicle,
Used vehicle.
$175,000. And how used is it?
The 23 with, I think, 23,000 miles. A new one's 204,000.
But to make a motion that allow the highway department to proceed with the purchase.
Got you on your end?
Yes, folks, it's been a very challenging year from the weather standpoint. We've had 2 emergencies. We've had a lot of demand on the highway department, on trucks, vehicles, people. We get a lot of positive feedback and constructive feedback from citizens on how fast can you fix my road, how fast can you get here, how fast can you get there. We're always challenging Eric, and then Kevin does the details. You can kind of see on this analysis as to, hey, what are the options? What are the challenges? What can we do to speed up the quality of service and the speed? And so I appreciate Kevin's hard work and Eric's hard work. I'm sure you give it the data and Kevin crunches it. So, yeah, I think we're ahead of it. So I'm in support of it.
A used vehicle, not a new one?
Yes.
Used. Is that your second?
This vehicle is 23. It's sitting on a lot somewhere.
Correct, best equipment. It came out of their rental fleet,
And it's located where?
their global store. He brought it up for us to look at, so he brought it to our site, we looked at it, we inspected it. The only thing that we seen wrong with it had a broken street light.
And so if we approve tonight, how quick can they get it?
They can deliver it too as soon as we sign it probably.
Did you say you made a motion?
I make a motion that we proceed.
Go ahead and second, move forward.
Okay. Cool.
Ron Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes. Okay. Next item is the Nashville lift station for the sewer. Okay, so as part of I know many people that may be living in town have been made aware that Nashville's going through a rework of their sewer system, and part of that is pressurizing some aspects of the sewer system. So what has happened is the county law enforcement center, along with the EMA center, along with the coroner's office, sets on that along one of their main lines feeding into the sewer. So therefore, there's a pump station that's going to be installed. Actually, they just had the Wagler brothers finish the installation of the pit itself, along with the other aspects of it to do the upgrade. As part of that, we've been asked to provide the electricity from the law enforcement center to feed those pumps, and the maintenance is going to be carried by, I believe, I'll have to check with what the town of Nashville is. I haven't gotten that back from me yet. But we went through the exercise of agreeing to provide that and look at taking that on and looking and doing that work. Basically we're going to do either trench or bore 400 feet of trench to allow us to install 425 feet of cabling, copper cabling, and they install the breakers necessary in the actual existing power structure in the law enforcement center. And the bids that you see before you are 3 bids for that scope of work. And out of that, MGM Electric is the one that basically came in as a low bid. So my recommendation is to basically move forward with accepting the quote from MGM Electric for $12,000.
That's the dig, not the.
That is the big dig, correct.
You made the motion, I'll second.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
One last one.
Contract.
And I don't have, yes, it's a contract. So we are losing our IT director. So our last official day is sometime this week. We are in the process of hiring. We do have job positions that we have interviewed and we have candidates, but there is going to be some need of transfer time and basically access to Lorem and that's information and skill with regards to our structure and technology that we have in place. And that's not something that's going to be easy for someone walking in off the street in order to kind of accumulate and grab that knowledge. So what we have done is I've made a proposal here with regards to, and the contract that sits before me here is a recommendation to take her on as a contractor, consulting for the next 3 months with the county with the option to basically extend that contract. So, and just so Ron knows, this was reviewed and prepared by Mike Mogan.
You up there, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I just got this contract before the meeting and I read it. It seems fine. We really don't know how much we're going to use her, but she's quite qualified to assist. I just noticed that, I don't think I'll leave that part out. If there's a major issue with her having a new job, she might not be available. So hopefully the person coming in, I think you guys have interviewed how many people?
It's only been 5, it sure seems like.
Seemed like I've seen a dozen.
5 or 6.
But anyway,
Half a dozen.
you fine with the contract, Mike, is presented? Yes. Thank you. Just verifying.
So at this point, I'm basically making a motion that we accept this contract and move forward contingent upon all parties signing and agreeing to it.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Okay, Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes. Yeah, I certainly want to thank Laura and recognize her service. 12 years, phenomenal asset. Just had a little better opportunity and is taking advantage of that. She's involved in our interviews, which was phenomenal. We were flooded with resumes. It's an incredible amount of high quality people that we're getting. And so we developed like a 1-page list of criteria and going through those interview processes. So, you know, it's been an interesting experience. I'm confident that we'll have somebody equally as qualified, but to have Laura on call to transition some of the high tech kind of stuff is just absolutely critical and imperative for us. And glad she agreed to help out wherever she can. So thank her for her service and again, we'll try to find somebody, people quality. So thanks to Lauren.
One last thing for me.
Okay.
I know, I was contacted. I know that we had listed here, as an item as like we're going forward with and trying to keep agenda items visible so they don't show up at the last minute. I'll try to avoid that. We have the health department had contacted me earlier today and basically let me know that the spa hot tub ordinance that they had planned on putting in place, or at least having in, for a consideration, was going to be August. It is now being moved to September.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Kevin. And you notice on our agenda, what we did like on Mount T, the Pumpkin Ridge thing, I think Kevin mentioned about 6 weeks, that's about right. And we put that on our agenda, we put it down here on future meetings, so we help to communicate, hey, this is what's going on way in advance, so you're not surprised by this kind of stuff. And then on something that's kind of, that requires a little more deliberation, we'll take our time. But we try to communicate as much as we can on the agenda, the paper picks it up, communicate that way, and so, you know, we do what we can to get the information out there, so.
Am I missing something here about, appointment for the Board of Health?
No, that's next. Kevin, we should have caught that in the change to the agenda. I've got the, down there for August 6th Commissioner meeting, we got the first reading of the food feed schedule, we don't have drafts of that yet, and then the spa hot tub is moved to September. So just wanted to let people know.
The second meeting in September?
Yeah. Okay, appointments for the Board of Health. Christy, I noticed you're here. Yep, I'd let you share your interest in the position. We're not gonna make a decision tonight. Kind of interesting, we started digging into the requirements for the board and all that kind of thing. So, we've got one other applicant, we had 2 drop off. And so we'll make that decision next month, but we'd love to hear your interest.
My name is Dr. Christy Crandall. I am a PhD in environmental sciences, my actual PhD degree. I worked for 45 years in, well, my bachelor's is geology, my master's is watershed sciences. I began my career in 1984 at Everglades National Park after going to IU for my undergrad, and began with water quality work there, looking at nutrients and flows coming into the slough. From there, I was moved to the National Weather Service and did flood forecasting and flood running computer models for predicting flood flows, height, timing, and, you know, from different tributaries, and then, you know, accumulating them downstream. It was a computational model for I started in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then I was transferred to Kansas City, where we did the entire Missouri Basin with our model. I did that job about 3 years, and then I decided that I needed to go to grad school to get more information because I wanted to work in water quality. So I went to Colorado State, and my groundwater, or my thesis was on contaminant transport and groundwater flow. I was looking at a hazardous waste landfill in eastern Colorado and predicting timing and amounts of contamination going into the groundwater from the contamination from the the hazardous waste landfill. So that was my thesis, my master's thesis. From there, I got a job in Tallahassee, Florida after grad school, working at the U.S. Geological Survey. That lasted about 20 years. I did probably about 20 projects. We did a lot of water quality work, including drilling wells and sampling, including sampling surface water, including flow models, surface water and groundwater. Some of the constituents that we sampled, I sampled hundreds of wells literally and hundreds of streams. We did pesticides, we did pharmaceuticals, nutrients, major ions. We did bacterial constituents like E. coli, things from wells, drinking water wells. We were looking at contaminants in drinking water, both throughout the north part of Florida and also in the city of Tampa. Their wells, their public supply wells. We also did a groundwater flow modeling to look at contaminant transport to water supply wells. We did studies on land use and how it affects water quality, both from agricultural areas and urban areas, including suburban and residential areas. And then a lot of the study in Georgia, South Georgia and Florida was more residential, like or non-urban rural areas, wells in urban areas, sampling for all these constituents, and then modeling, looking at how these contaminants are transferred from land uses like we looked at confined animal operations, looking at pollution coming from that and how they transport. And one of our studies, we really focused on E. coli and the other bacteria that are known contaminants from septic and sewage system, especially septic systems. And so that's my interest, is really, and I'm also on the board of Friends of Lake Monroe. And I am on the science committee of Friends of Lake Monroe. And my interest is in helping people improve how they handle their waste and water quality issues that may be surrounding those things. I know there's a lot of issues in Brown County with failed septic systems. And I'm interested in helping connect people to, there's grants out there that will help people improve their septic systems. So I know a lot of people here are not rich. I mean, I know there are a lot of rich people now, but there's a lot of people out there in the county that don't have enough money to get their septic system pumped out or to get their septic system upgraded so it works right. Or so there are grants out there. So I'm interested in getting on the Board of Health so I can work with the Board of Health, identifying these septic systems that are failing mainly, and try to get grants for people, hook them up, hook these grants up to help people get their septic systems working properly with as minimal or little or no cost to people as possible. Because I realize I grew up here, I know how it is. People don't have a lot of money out there. Also, I'm interested in, I've talked to a number of friends here after moving back after 40 some years of being gone. And there are people here in Brown County that don't have potable water on a regular basis. They run out of water every summer. So they either have to pay big money to have it pumped in or brought in trucks and, and it's hard to believe that that is true in the United States in this day and age, that we don't have potable water. And I'm interested in helping people, identifying these people and trying to find ways to get them water supply that's affordable. So those are my big interests, is water quality, improving our water quality, and, of course it will improve Lake Monroe also if we can help improve people's septic systems. And also making sure that they have safe, clean, and enough drinking water. So that's why I'm interested in this position.
Great. We've got another candidate coming next month, our
Okay.
second meeting, and what I'd be interested in is take a look. If you read the Brown County Regional Sewer District Strategic Wastewater Plan and Watershed Study, Appendix B. If you
Not
would,
yet.
take a look at that, I'd be curious on both your feedback on that particular plan, the water quality study, especially, and the water quality study, because it addresses the water, the septics, the soils and all that kind of thing. I appreciate your feedback, and always appreciate your testimony on the different problems, issues we have on flooding within Brown County. We've got a lot of floodways and working on that comp plan. So everything you mentioned regarding water quality, portable quality, and all that kind of thing kind of plays into future planning. So, but would appreciate your feedback on what you thought of that plan and the watershed study. So
I'd like to give back to this county. I mean, I grew up here. I care about the people here, and I care about, that making sure people are safe and have what they need here, especially with water. The new gold, it's the new oil. So anyway.
Thank you, Chrissy.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Next item is the suggested revisions to the county comprehensive plan. The APC did a final revision And our next steps on that really, we want more community input. And so an opportunity came from the Office of Community and Rural Affairs over in Ball State. It's called a Rural Empowerment and Development Program. It's called RED. And the point of that is it's a we don't have any matching funds with that. We get free support and service for Ball State. And the goal is really capacity building, planning initiative. It's a refined vision and community engagement plan. And that's really telling the story for the community on that drives what people want and do not want in this particular county. So I started doing some talking points and then I converted them into slides. So if you got to pull that in, I'll give you, introduce some of the challenges we have. If you can make, oops, that's you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yes, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, and for the,
Okay.
yeah, if you could make that bigger.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. What we did is the RED program came out, we applied for it a couple weeks ago, and they'll make a decision in August. And really the challenge is what's our story? Are we a tourism destination, bedroom retired community, a work from home community, and we're a county where more rural lifestyle is possible? And then again, part of the story, where we've been, how we changed, what stayed the same, what do citizens want and do not want regarding quality of life and economic development in their area and county. And then do citizens know, for us, the whole idea behind a comprehensive plan is to guide zoning decisions. And so it's like, okay, do people know how their area is zoned? Do they know about districts? Do they know what's allowed to be built in their area? Do they know how we make changes and what criteria we're going to use to make those changes? And that's the decisions that you have for the Area Plan Commission, the BCA, and then the commissioners have to make a final approval on that. All I want people to understand is those key things. And what really gets people interested, if you make a change in their particular area, then they pack this room. But most times, there's not that interested until it affects them personally. Let me give you a little history on change. Back in 2014, I think Nashville, a little support from the county perhaps, applied for a Stellar grant. And this is from the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. It's generally one of these multi-agency $1 million kind of initiatives. And these things tend to come in, it seemed like the last minute. And a lot of projects were proposed, didn't have time to vet it within the community. We had protests when the review committee came for this and Oprah say, you guys just aren't ready for this kind of thing. And they as kind of accurate. So then what happened a couple of years later, Ball State and Oprah said, hey, we'll support you if you want to sign up for our community readiness initiative. So we had about 50 people involved in the county and the town to look at this readiness for change, they call it, or COI. And it's again to prepare the county and such, do you even want change or what kind of change do you want? And what they identified is the best bets for the future of the local economy. Sarah Clifford at the time did an excellent article on summarizing the findings from the CRI. And pretty much it boiled down, Ball State said, hey, we're a bedroom community, retirement community. And so they identified our best bets and priority order here for development. And so on Ball State and the data when they polled for the county, they identified housing as number 1, recreation number 2, wholesale 3, production 4, retail 5. And then the local officials had their feeling was the following, kind of a difference there. Recreation was 1, housing was number 3, and then production wholesale down the bottom, but they put retail at 2 versus number 5 for the data in Ball State. So a little difference there. Next slide. Here's I think Ball State, their findings was pretty present. For instance, when you look at tourism, I pulled this information from the Rockport Analytics study that the tourist industry receives. And if we look at tourism for gross wages for tourism, it brings in $21 million. The adjusted gross income, that's gross minus deductions for everyone in the county is $511 million, $500 million. 21 million in tourism, 511 million everybody else. Big difference, big difference. And again, that's our primary funding sources are income tax and property tax. So wages is kind of a big deal. On the GDP, the Rockport study estimated tourism brings in about 39.4 million. The county GDP is 362 million. But if you look at the surrounding counties, it's 29.5 billion. So when you look at a bedroom community, we have people that want to live here, but yet generate their revenue from somewhere else, be it retirement, another job. Now you can work from home. So again, you look at the surrounding counties, 29.5 billion, you look at us, 362 million. The value of that is we talked to the commissioner from Monroe, they always point to, when they recruit people for Monroe County or even Bloomington, they always point to Brown County as one of the draws because we're close to a lot of different amenities and opportunities. So the other counties, that's kind of the source for where we get more residents. When you look at jobs, the direct jobs, 858, and then they had the indirect and induced, and that's based on modeling that's proprietary for the vendor here. But you look at a total, maybe 1,000 jobs. The total jobs in the county is 3,840. That's 2023 numbers. Okay, so when you look at Nashville, the low to moderate income level, I looked at the Census Bureau tracks. And so Nashville ranges from it, and again, low income is 68.9% is a high figure for a low income category. So Nashville ranges, and I'll show you what that means, from 39.1 to 68.9. For Okra, for us to get a community planning grant, we had to have a low to moderate income level of 51% or higher. So you had to, I don't know, you had to meet that income standard. And so we didn't do that this year. Our county average for that LMI is 40.4. Tax returns filed, this is where it gets interesting. We had 7,302 tax returns. And so if you look at the jobs at 3840, and you look at the tax returns filed, 7,000, that's 3,462. Now, I don't know if that's jobs outside the county, like if you work from home, or it's just retirees. But you see the big difference here. And so it's like the delta makes you curious. It's like, okay, what accounts for that difference and where they draw this data? Is the jobs just within the county? Does this include, the other jobs? Do they not include if you're working somewhere else? But the telling thing here is the bottom line. Morton Marcus is a retired economist, and his article he wrote on Money on the Move, he said that in Brown County, 77% of the earnings realized by local residents originate elsewhere. So that reinforces that bedroom community. People want to live here, but yet they generate income somewhere else. And so I call that the golden goose of the folks that choose to live here and again, generate income somewhere else. So again, Ball State was kind of pretty accurate on that, the bedroom community kind of thing, and show the difference. But I still talk to a lot of people where it said, well, tourism is our economic driver. It's important, but it's not the economic driver for the county. But yet, what we're finding now, when I talk to a lot of different folks, is really the top two, and Ball State was accurate there. One was homes, and two was tourism, and they call that adventure tourism. So what we're getting is kind of a generation that comes down here. There's a lot of opportunities for recreation, like biking, for instance. They like, the bikes are a big deal on our roads. I know we think they're dangerous and narrow and we would never ride our bike on them, but man, there's a lot of folks that come here from all over the Midwest just to ride on our roads. And there's all kinds of different bikes for riding on pavement, and there's different types of bikes for riding on gravel, and there's a lot of different bikes for riding on mountain trails. And that's a big draw for a lot of folks. And I know, it can be frustrating when we see bicycles on the road, but that's kind of a new thing for tourism and again, for the hiking. So they call that adventure tourism. I always thought as a kid, when you walked out in the woods, it's just hiking, but now it's an adventure. So hey, just a different generation. But what we're finding is now you're getting a different generation. I mean, my generation in my group, for instance, chose to retire here but yet now we're getting a new group, younger folks who are saying, hey, I want that cabin in the woods. I want a pond, and oh my gosh, I want to have a restaurant and bars and a music center I could go to for the amenities, as well as being close to where I want to pursue my hobbies. So that's a big deal. So they're looking for those kinds of homes. And I tell you, when I looked at the numbers for economics, probably, I don't know, nine years ago, we were showing declines in population projection. That's been reversed. We're showing bumps in population projection on the ones that I'm seeing, and which is kind of interesting. And COVID had a bump. and new residents coming in. And so when you look at the income streams, and I do, our income, revenue for income is trending up, and our revenue is we all aware, from property taxes going up because the assessments are going up because of inflation. So from that economic standpoint, we've got a pretty solid base and it's increasing. But that's kind of who we are. And so when you talk about a comprehensive plan, it helps to have the story. And so that's part of it. Part of that, next slide, please. Part of that Ball State's Community Race Initiative, at the same time they came up with that, they said, hey, you guys ought to apply for this Hometown Collaborative Initiative grant. And it's called HCI. And we had three options, project options. It was leadership, placemaking, and economy. And we chose leadership. And this HCI, we needed, I think, initially 30 people. And wow, it went from, I think, the first phase was maybe 6 months to 9 months. And then we had projects, and the project went on for a year or so. But the folks came and went. So we had 30 down to 15, up to 20, over to 30, kind of varied because people came in, came off. And so we selected a project of leadership. And one of the first projects, I think, well, the project we selected was kind of local foods. And so we had maybe the majority of the folks thought that was a good thing. We had presentations from Bloomington on local foods and what that involved. And man, we just couldn't, we had our first meeting, couldn't get it off the ground. Didn't have the project skills, didn't have the facilitation skills, didn't have the problem solving skills, didn't have the collaborative skills, and it kind of died. Bad side is we got the grant already. It's a $10,000 grant. We got that, and they approved the project, but we couldn't pull it off. So we redid the grant, redid the application, and threw in leadership tools. Typical kind of tools, problem solving, collaborative decision making, strategic planning, project management, and we created a suite of tools and a website to go along with that to honor our commitment to the grant. And so it's out there. We've got a website, but it's been kind of dormant. We were going pretty good until COVID hit, and so here's where we're at. But what my point is on this HCI, what's different, I think, on the RED program that Ball State's doing is their follow through on the projects. Here, all they did is they ended when we picked a project and they say, hey, we're done. And just assumed we would execute the plan that we had. But the RED grant will be a little different. Let me go on to the next slide, please. And when we talk about comprehensive planning, you're looking at what's our community look like. Here I've got census tract data. It identifies from high to low when it comes to low to moderate income. And so we have Nashville up at the top, but there's different tracks. You have Nashville, you have Bean Blossom, Nashville, and you have Bean Blossom, Nashville in different blocks. So it's like almost neighborhoods. So when we look at comprehensive planning, it's just not focused on out of Nashville centric, but those are the communities that you want to find out what do you want in here? What are your issues? What are your challenges? Or do you just want to be left alone? And I would say probably, a lot of folks in a lot of areas just leave us alone. And then some folks want a little more development, maybe others. But the whole point is going out to these different areas and asking people. And when it comes to, when we say we want more community input on this, on the future comprehensive plan or the changes or amendments we may want to see, I want to do a direct mail if we have to for each resident. So they have an opportunity to know what we're doing and provide input. And get as much contact as we can and break things down by area and get that input so that we can have a quality plan that people can live with. But again, it gets back to what's our story? What do we want that to be? How do we do that? How do we have that common vision for the county? How do we blend all those different interests that we have within the county? So that's the challenge I'm hoping Ball State can help us with. Here's a description of the program. And you can kind of see it's pretty ambitious. This is like they got they talk about the capacity building and planning and look at program outcomes, individual coaching, technical assistance, prioritization, selection, development, and identification of actionable projects. And these projects are things that they mentioned they could have maybe up to 15 or they customize different projects. But to me, a project has a beginning and an end and a specific result. So I'm real interested on what their process and methodology is going to be for identifying projects and then working those projects through. And then the last slide kind of gives you the idea of the concept of what they're doing. And And so you got 4 to 6 months on the 2-day training and different events. And then once they identify these projects, it's gonna take, a few more months. And so they look at this, ready to implement 5 to 15 projects. So that's gonna take a little additional time in addition to the 4 to 6 months. So I'm kind of curious on how they scope those projects and what those would entail. And truly, I'm curious to see if we can get that community engagement on a different project. If we can find a project that somebody has a passion for, if they're ready, if they've got the time and the commitment to work that through. So that'll be pretty interesting. Looking forward to that if we're selected. If we're not selected, we're probably gonna have to contract to have that kind of thing done. Maybe scope it a little different. But at the same time, the whole point on the comprehensive plan, we want that community input and we want that feedback and we want to come up with the right decision and the right vision that everyone can support. So when it comes to those zoning changes, when it comes to these 3 boards, people are bought in, they understand what that is and makes it as transparent as possible, gives them a voice in their community. So that's it. We'll know in August if we got selected. If not, we'll go to Plan B, but we do have a Plan B. So that kind of concludes my presentation on that. Any questions?
How does that run with the redevelopment commission? Are they totally separate or?
It's separate. We've got 3 of the members on the RDC signed up to be the initial volunteers. So we've got 22 people that signed up. I think they go to 40. But as this thing kicks off, I think we have a lot more people get engaged on various aspects. So I'm hoping for it anyway. We'll see. Thank you. Yes, I do.
Dina, Tricon lives here in town. So the APC voted on June 24th to forward the comprehensive plan that they had developed to the county commissioners with a few changes. So are you making any kind of decision tonight about that? Or?
No.
Okay.
No. We're going to the next step. Our options, and we can consider it. It's a suggested changes. If we liked everything about it, we could have approved it, not approved it, requested amendments. At this point, we're asking for more input.
Okay.
So we're not making any decision on that plan other than asking for more input. Because as you know, when it started, they only had 2 public meetings on the same day. There's kind of a tight window, in a survey and not a whole lot of opportunity, given the constraints they had, to reach out to the community. And on a comprehensive plan, you need to get everybody's input on that plan. And that's what we intend to do, is get as much input as we can and then go back and say, okay, what kind of changes or improvements can we make?
Okay, because it was a 15-page document from what we had to like 150 pages. And that current one that they approved to send to you isn't out there to look at. So really, there's probably going to be a lot more changes. And it will probably go back to APC then for recommendations.
There'll be a future amendments. I mean, if we want amendments or it requires major changes, we'll take it at that point. But once we get the input and see what that delta is between what the desire is and what we're having, we'll adjust and make the changes that we need to make.
Okay, thank you.
Well, okay.
Sherry Mitchell, clarity. Did you say that if the APC makes a recommendation to you and you don't do anything over 90 days, what happens?
That doesn't fit this scenario. It's an option. We don't have to do anything with it. They made it's a suggestion. We don't.
Yeah, it's a recommendation.
We don't have to vote. We don't have to vote on it. There's no timeline for when that was approved and when it's passed on to the commissioners.
Okay, I'm gonna challenge you here, Tim. For some reason, my brain is telling me that if you get a recommendation from them and you choose to do nothing, that recommendation automatically approves. But don't quote me on that, because it's been a minute since I looked at that, but I want to say that.
Yeah, sure, you're right when it comes to an ordinance. When it comes to an ordinance, when you vote to table it, you've got a time window kicks in, but not when it comes to when it comes to area plan commission. Different. ran that through legal.
Okay, because I'm like, this makes sense to me, and you brought it up, so I'm like, wait a minute, this is triggering a brain wave here. So that, I am right, that does happen on occasion,
For-
just not this
Yeah,
occasion.
not this situation. Right.
But isn't a comprehensive plan, isn't that an ordinance?
No, it'd be a resolution is what we'd be voting on.
Okay, thanks for the clarity.
You're welcome.
I've actually seen some zoning come through here where what she's saying actually applies.
Yes.
But the comprehensive plan, since you talked to legal,
Yeah.
they're saying it's different than if like somebody come in and wanted something rezoned and we tabled
Or
it
a variance.
and didn't do nothing, you know, in 90 days, that zoning would have been done.
Right.
That's correct. So, yeah, part,
Actually, you gotta be careful about that because in some situations, we're forced to take action.
Yeah.
Be careful. Sure you're not on this one.
Thank you.
It's okay.
I mean, I was like, wait a minute.
You
Okay.
enjoy it. Go ahead,
appreciate it.
go ahead and look at it. It's a May. You see a lot of Mays in there. May do this, May do that.
Okay,
So
thank
we're-
you. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, great.
Like Tim is pointing out, it's a very good thing, but I ran into a situation when I did have a conversation with Michael one point. He said, basically, you can table this and you can't do anything. You have to address it. But again, it's situation by situation. And I don't remember exactly at what time that was on.
I've seen several.
So that's kind of all over the place.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. Teresa, anything?
I don't have much other than the bricks got laid today. So anybody wants to go out there and take a look, we still have 98 bricks, that could go in that area that we can still sell. We have gotten 5 more orders since the article in the paper went out, so thank you for the article, it worked. And, thank you to Dwayne and Lois and all the volunteers out there today. That was amazing. And my work comp audit is in, that's my major thing right now I've been working on, so that's where I'm at.
Great, thank you. And Dwayne, thank you on that. If you get a chance, go back and look at that. Nice job on bricks and the trim. It looks really, really good. So thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, all right, ongoing business, same stuff, and we're busy. I've got a lot of things in the hopper and keeps us occupied. So a lot of positive changes, just takes a little time. Legal, Mike, anything to add?
Nothing to add. Thanks, Tim.
Oops, there's nothing else? Yes.
The last time I was here, which was about.
Can you come to the mic, please?
Sure. Paul Nelson again. Last time I was here, which was about 4 or 5 months ago, there was some talk of a bridge being built or rebuilt on the road. Or there at Gatesville. 2 bridges at Gatesville. I just wondered if I haven't seen or heard any more discussion. I asked, with Robin was her name, at the Gatesville store, did she know of anybody? And she said, I don't know about it. Is there going to be some bridge work there? For those of us who really don't miss a lot, which is like me.
Yeah, it was planned, the second call to community crossings this year, but they're not doing a call 2, unfortunately.
Okay.
So it's shelf ready. It's ready to be put in the community crossings grant. So the first call, well, they're only doing 1 call next year. It'll be in the community crossings grant next year. It's a superstructure replacement, so it's a deck.
Okay.
So yes, the stuff that we worked out with the landowner for the project would be the construction later in the year. So if that's still going to be the same way, it'll be more towards the fall that the construction would start.
Because I typically go to Columbus about 2 or 3 times a week, and that's my relative choice.
Yeah, but it is in the work. It's shelf ready. So basically it is done completely. It's just ready to be put out.
Okay.
So, yep, that's right.
Okay, thanks.
So Eric, can I ask you one question? Because we have started some major construction this week. So for the audience at large and those online listening, Country Club Road has been basically gone through and they have started the paving repairs and the paving reworks, and just a quick summary on where that rework is at.
So the detour, when they do shut the bridge down, the detour that's gonna go back around, that's closed right now for the big base repair. It's about 750 feet of base repair because that road was in bad shape. The weather kind of held us up today, but hopefully in the next 2 days, it'll be paved all the way going down the hill and it'll be back open. And then as soon as they get that done, the contractors will start the bridge project. So that detour will be open and then they'll close the other section and contractors will start working on the bridge.
Anything else?
Big motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Could I ask that the AV notified?